All right, guys, 30 videos, 30 days. No stops, no do-overs, no edits. Record and post. Today, I'm in my kitchen, obviously, and I am dry firing. Now, why am I dry firing in the kitchen? Because there's no windows in here. So during the day, I can have the windows open, the blinds, all that stuff, and I can dry fire in here. It's safe. There's a firewall, so a brick wall. And yeah, I can just dry fire to my heart's content, work on weapons handling or whatever I want to work on, and I don't have to worry about my neighbors walking by or looking through the window and freaking out. I'm trying to be an ambassador for the shooting sports and for gun ownership and responsible gun ownership, and I'm not trying to get the police called on me because there's some dude waving a gun around in the house. So, yeah. And if you've been to a public range, then you know that is a well-founded concern, because I've never had more guns pointed at me than when I've gone to a public, uncontrolled range where people are just allowed to shoot on their own time and do their thing. And I look over and there's a guy with a 308 bolt gun and it's pointed right at me. And yeah, he's got his head looking at, So try not to be that guy. Anyway, I thought I'd talk about Berettas because I'm dry firing with my Berettas today. And I really like these pistols, man. They are amazing. They are reliable. They are super accurate. They're as accurate as I can be. And they chew up anything I feed them. So any 9mm round I feed these pistols, they will shoot. The other cool thing about them is double action. If you get a hard primer in your practice ammo, you just pull the trigger again and away she goes, usually. So kind of a cool little thing. Now, if you followed anything I've written on TPI or any of the blogs I've written on or for, then you know I am a huge fan of the Beretta, and I have been carrying one in some form or other since 1993. So that was when my brother first handed me this Beretta right here that I also carried undercover. I shot this in a tactical response class where I got a lot of hate for shooting a Beretta, but that's all right because I was the top shooter in the class. So what can you say? But there was a lot of hate over the years for the Beretta. And then in the recent years, that's kind of changed and people have come around and really started to appreciate the Beretta, due in large part to the efforts of people like Ernest Langdon and the Wilson Combat guys, really putting a lot of effort into giving us options for these things, whether it's sights, grips, triggers, all that good stuff. And I'll get into some of that. But prior to the pistol, Hurricane Andrew had come through South Florida and just tore us up. We were in a bad way. And there was all kinds of looting happening and there was all kinds of things going on down there. And all I had for personal protection was I had a Maverick 88, which is an old pump shotgun. And I had a Remington 870, which was a used, I think it was a police trade-in or something of that nature, shotgun. I never really had a pistol, and to be honest, there had never been a need for a pistol in my life up to that point. I had grown up in Maryland, Eastern Shore of Maryland, where you hunt and fish, and first day of hunting season, everybody's out hunting, and yeah, so it's just one of those things where a shotgun had always been, I saw the utility for a shotgun, never saw the utility for a pistol, other than maybe a police officer or something like that, because what are you going to shoot with a pistol that's going to be effective? My thinking back then, right? So just keep that in mind. My thinking was, what am I going to shoot with a pistol that's actually going to do any good? I mean, if I shoot a deer, they're just going to look at me. Try to shoot a duck or a goose in flight with this thing, that's not going to work too great. So what am I going to do with this thing? And so I just never really saw the need. And then when I was in South Florida, after Andrew, I saw the need. Because the looting, all the stuff that was going on, imagine all the power is out, which includes water. You're in a bad way. Resources are non-existent, and everybody is at the limit of their patience. Tempers are flaring, and then you got people all day and night looting, just looting everything, because the police are out of it. There's no 911. There's nothing like that. The police are doing the best they can. Fire's doing the best they can, but it's just not enough. It's not effective. and they're just as limited, you know. So, and also they can't even get access. There was a huge tree down on our street, a couple trees down, and there was just no access to the street I was living on at the time. So my brother, after we got through that, my brother said, hey, in the future, since you're going to keep living down here, maybe get a pistol, because walking around with a shotgun, leaning it up against stuff while I'm cleaning my yard and trying to repair stuff and help my neighbors and all that good stuff just isn't effective. It's just not a good way to do things. So he actually got me this Beretta 92. This is the Beretta 92. And I really have a special place in my heart for this pistol. Like I said, I carried it undercover. I've shot it in dozens and dozens of classes. I've shot it through several Dave Harrington classes, which if you know Super Dave, then you know those are high round count classes. And this thing just runs. I have never had a equipment related malfunction with my Berettas. Ammo, yes. Equipment, no. And that's pretty darn cool. No, wait, sorry. I did have one, so the spring that holds the slide lock in place, that kicks it up, that spring broke. And so it was every now and then locking the slide back because it would bounce up and down. There was no tension on it holding it down. And so it would bounce up and down, and that would lock. So yeah, one malfunction on this actual pistol, which I got in 1993. So that's not bad. Now, how do I set them up? I'm glad you asked. Kind of cool little bit of trivia on this. This is, I don't know if you can see it or not, but that trigger right there is a Langdon Tactical Technologies trigger, short trigger, from back in the day. So back when Ernest was, I think they were based in Virginia at the time, I ordered that trigger for a short trigger to go into this pistol, a D-spring, which was a game changer for the double action pull, and this steel guide rod. So, and those things have remained in this pistol since that time. It's kind of cool, right? So I thought I would show you guys too this part, which is, so let me back it up. Modifications I make on these pistols. I get rid of, as soon as possible, the plastic guide rod, and I put in a metal guide rod, so recoil guide rod. And then I replace the spring with a 12-pound or similar weight spring, so light. I like my slides flying. I like them light. And a few reasons for that. Practically speaking, I can just rack it with one hand if I need to clear any malfunctions, or to anything I need to do with it. I can just rack it with one hand if I had to. And it also sits flatter. It just rides flatter. So it's a little more jarring on the body, but I like when the slide's moving fast. So if I can, I will put in a short trigger, but usually the rest of my pistols do not have short triggers. So they all just have the same, just regular Beretta, stock Beretta trigger. This is a 92 FS. You can kind of see the trigger guard's a little different there compared to the 92 A1. So for some reason, I really like the 92 A1s, and I've got about a dozen of these things. And I really like them. So D-spring or a 12 or 13 pound, a 12 pound trigger spring, one of the two. And then a steel recoil rod with a 13 pound or 12 pound recoil spring. I did use an 11.5 pound recoil spring for a while. I definitely like those, but it's a lot. It's a lot. I haven't had to replace locking blocks, but those I haven't had to replace them due to failure. I've replaced them just as maintenance, just like I replaced the recoil spring and the trigger, you know, the hammer spring and all that stuff. So maintenance stuff, once a year I rebuild all the springs. Now, I don't know if you can see this or not. This is the stock, this is a pepperoni sight. So that is the pepperoni rear sight, and then on here it's a stock front sight. So because the 92 FS, it's built in, you can't swap it out. So unfortunately, you are stuck with what you have. So what you have is what you have. And as you can see, I like the slides to move very quickly. So that's how I set them up generally. Also for grips, I go through either Langdon or Wilson, and I get the grips. So I swap out the grips. Now, this one's a little different. This is the 92 A1. And again, recoil spring, trigger, hammer spring, all that stuff's the same. But on this one, you can see, there you go. I don't know if you can see that red dot or not, but that is the front sight on these. So with these, because you have the option to swap out that front sight, I will replace the rear sight with a pepperoni rear sight. You can get those at Wilson. And then I'll swap out the front sight and I'll put like a 0.90 or a 0.10, whatever I can get. The smallest, thinnest front sight possible with a red dot with a fiber in it. Now, that's not to say that if I will send a couple of these slides off, they're going to get sent over to Ernest, and I'm going to get some red dots put on here, obviously, because my eyes are to the point now where I need the red dot in order to shoot effectively. But with the pistol set up just like this, you could do some good work. Now, my favorite Beretta by far is this little baby. So this is a 92X compact. So I really like this pistol. It's got the regular decocker. So this is a G. So when you decock and you let it go, it comes back up, right? So decock down, let it go, pops back up, it's spring loaded. So they call that the G, I think they call it the G decocker. So, but this has got the regular decocker, not a big deal, or safety, if you want to call it that. Holds 13 rounds. So one in the pipe, so 14 total. It's about the size of a 19, and it's a hammer gun, which I really like for when it's time to holster appendix. I can ride that hammer and make sure nothing's hung up, even if I can't see it completely. This pistol is stock. I haven't done anything to it. It came with everything that I would do anyway. It came with a fluted guide rod. It came with what feels like a D-spring, lighter recoil spring, and the sights are set up in the way that I like. Let me not be unsafe here. And you can kind of see nice plain blacked out rear sight and a glowing front sight. So these guns are really nice, really effective. I've run through this one. This is the newest one, the 92 compact, and I've probably put, I want to say 1,000 easily 1,000 rounds of Supervel 124 or 147 grain ammo through this thing. Point of aim, point of impact. I actually made a hit on a steel plate out at 150 yards with this pistol. So it was kind of cool. Missed a couple times, and then the fourth round, nailed it. And then after that, I was on it because I figured out kind of my holdover. And after that, I just kept banging that gong. So these things are really cool. And as you would expect with any Beretta, super accurate, super reliable. They take a beating and they keep running. Now, what do I carry them in? So for now, I've been playing around with the Dark Star gear. So this is the original Orion, and I had that set up. I've been using that for quite some time. This is the newer model, and what I like about these is that even though there's a different trigger guard or shape of a trigger guard here, so you can kind of see that one, and then you can see that one. So you can see how one's round and one's got that little bit of an edge there. the way Tom has set these up is that I can carry any of these pistols in these holsters. It's kind of cool, right? And it's a nice, secure setup that's comfortable and comforting, right? Because it's not always going to be comfortable, but it's comforting to know you have it. And I can carry all of the Berettas in it. So all of the different versions and variations of the Beretta, the 92, which is spelled with a TWO, the M9A1, M9A3, the 92A1, the 92A3 and A4, all of them work in these holsters. So super cool. The Brigadier, everything, they all work in here. You know, it's really cool to just have that ability to pick up a holster and use whatever pistol I want to carry that day from the Beretta line in the same holster. So if I'm running around, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go to the range and I'm gonna put some rounds through this 92A1. Well, I don't have to do anything. Take whatever I'm carrying out, set it in the safe, grab the next one, and off we go. Kind of cool. I hope you guys dig it. I love these Berettas. If you guys dig Berettas, let me know. I am always down for showing Beretta some love, even if they don't love me back. So, and that's a whole other story. That has to do with Beretta USA and nothing to do with the pistols. So, hey guys, I appreciate you, man. I love the comments, the likes, everything. Appreciate our interactions here. Let's keep it positive. Keep training, keep working hard, keep trying to get better. And also, let's keep being ambassadors for this lifestyle. We need all the help we can get. Things are getting spicy out there, and governments love to strip our rights. And the way to combat that is to have a groundswell of support of people all over that are like, hey, no, we're not taking that. You don't get to do that. This is our right protected by the Constitution. So, as much as possible, be a good ambassador and get people into this lifestyle, man. It can only be to our benefit. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next one.